So we're finding what? That our measuring device won't fit under?
Right.
There's a kitchen down the hall,
Okay.
kitchenette.
We could check the kitchen too.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it won't fit, so I knew that we could probably get a bowl under whatever we're doing. So we're gonna do the best we
Well, you know,
can.
what, I was gonna say, no, we can't, because this flow faucet might be different, but we knew that 17 seconds filled that, and that was a gallon, but we can't because we don't know the flow. That's the whole
Correct.
purpose.
Correct, so it's a volume measure, not a time
Yeah.
measure, right?
Okay,
Okay, so might we might run this for a minute and measure our minute, but we could do fractions of a minute. So we could do a half
do you
minute,
wanna
or
do,
we
what
could
do
do
you guys
20
wanna do?
seconds
What
and
do you
do
think
some
would be
multiplication.
more efficient in terms of doing the calculations?
I think in order to transfer things from the bowl to the pitcher, like you'll have to pause the timer every
Right.
time you stop to do it, because
Right.
then there's water flowing without being collected. I think
Okay, I mean, yeah, for the purposes of our testing, we'll have we'll be wasting water, but we'll have a better gauge as to what we're trying to the figure we're trying to calibrate. All right, so why don't we start with, well, first of all, let's just take a look at the faucet flow.
Right. Good idea, it's like,
All right, so would you say that flow is as strong or less strong than the one that we had in the other kitchen? I mean, in the lab?
It looks the same.
All right,
Yeah.
so why don't we try for the, let's do 20 seconds, 10 seconds, see what we get, or how about 10 seconds?
10 seconds.
Give 10 seconds, what do you think?
I think 10 seconds, you're gonna have water driven out of that bowl.
All right, well, let's give it a
Sure.
shot. All right,
So-
all right.
so before we hit that,
Yep.
so we've done a little estimating,
Yeah.
we've done some planning.
Mhm.
Could we backtrack on this experiment and say, okay, that didn't work and do it some
Oh,
other way?
absolutely.
So we could always try something else. So for our purposes and for our kids' purposes, this could be, who knows, let's see if it works,
Mhm.
okay?
Well, it's all a matter of how you set up your testing. piece,
Correct, correct.
Which is a major function of our curriculum for your testing.
Absolutely. So,
We'll go for
we
10
ready?
seconds. Okay. All right, so turn the water on. All right, 1, 2, 3, do it. We're halfway. Stop.
okay, could you have done that for 20 seconds and still got your bowl out?
Yes.
And still got our bowl out?
You think, oh, yeah, that's right, yeah, maybe 15 seconds.
Okay, so maybe our 10 was a good guess.
Yes, yeah.
So let's find out in our high-tech measuring device here.
Oh.
And Becca, do you want to do a reading on the end here, what it looks like?
It says 1 quart, but it looks about, a little less than a third of the way up to a gallon.
Okay, so this is the 1 quart mark, and I'm sure you can't see it. This is the T-quart mark, so I'm saying we're about 1 1/3 quarts.
All right.
Okay,
Let me clear this.
so 1 1/3 quart, and we're going to have to multiply this amount by what? Because we measured for how many seconds?
17.
Was-
Well,
how-
we
how
rounded-
long-
We rounded to 20.
How
Well,
long
you
did
have
you
to have
measure
a-
this one for, though?
10.
10. So to get a flow rate per minute,
You have to multiply by
volume times a whole minute, 10 seconds plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. So I do 60 seconds in a minute.
Oh, right, okay, so it's times 6, yeah, all right.
Volume times what will give me my minute? How many
Not a math major,
10s
that's
are
for
there in
sure.
60? End of the day here,
You
guys.
need to
How-
multiply that by 6 in order to get you.
Okay.
Okay,
So 1.3, I'm going to call that. I did the official measure.
okay.
I'm saying that's 1.3 quarts. There are 4 quarts in a gallon. 1.3 times 6 is what? 8. 8 quarts, there are 4 quarts in a gallon. What's the
Two
flow
gallons.
rate here? 2 gallons. 8 quarts, 4 quarts, and 4 quarts. If I let it flow and kept
Just
filling
filling
up
yeah.
over the minute's time, if I could do that, then I'd have filled 2 gallons. That's where the math comes in. Okay? So is this a compliant faucet in the at or less than 2.2 gallons per minute?
Yes, it is, yes, because it was 2
Yep.
gallons, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So we got a good faucet.
Mhm.
Yay!
Yeah, look at that.
So on a light meter, it comes with a little cover thing on it, and you can see its little eyeball. That's the part. When you turn it on, you want to turn it on with its cover on. It's sort of like getting a 0 reading on something. And we're checking to make sure that, yes, indeed, it should be saying
Everybody's
0.
zero.
I don't know why that one's saying something. It's wanting to play around. And it says FC, which is the abbreviation for foot candles, as opposed to lux. This one reads different things. This one is set on auto. If you really know what you're doing and want to read the directions in the box, and by the way, you guys are going to get a kit that has at least one of these coming to your school for playing with, okay? And I believe that the Project Learning Tree kit had a light meter in it as
it does.
well, so cool
does.
stuff. So what you're going to be doing, the way you look at light meters, it's sort of in the center of the room. It's on a flat surface. Its eyeball is looking up. And it's the surface that you would be saying, what's the light here on my paper? Okay? So I wouldn't measure it in a corner. I wouldn't measure it on the floor. That's not where my work surface is that I'm trying to measure. So what you do is just take its lid off, try it on a couple of surfaces. Want to try it on another surface? See when it settles down to a number and see what it's getting for foot candles. Oh, I'm liking this thing here because you're on the same table as we are, and it'd be interesting to know whether you're getting the same reading as we are.
And where we are on the table, because we're in the middle of the table, whereas you're on the end of the table.
Okay.
So,
Well, and I took a step back and it went up.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say,
White
yeah.
reflecting.
Maybe the difference
And
is
we're- and
across
we're
the
more
room,
directly
not
under this
away
light.
from the window.
Right? So I'm between lights where Becca has hers. You're directly under a light where you've got yours. So Becca, what's your reading?
It's, well, depending on how close I'm
Ah,
standing near it,
yep.
but it's hovering anywhere between 26 and 28.
So am I, if a kid was sitting at this seat right here, is he getting the 50-foot candles that's recommended?
No, no.
Not so much so.
In
Okay.
offices, it's recommended 25 for task lighting, so
Yep.
I don't know why it's 50 in schools.
Yeah, interesting.
Do we expect kids to be able to see better? And if they can see, can they actually function? Yeah. You know,
Blinding.
I'm
Yep.
curious if you put it on a black surface.
Yep, I was curious.
okay. What did you guys get on your measure, which is directly under the light troffers above you?
It's literally 56.23 keeps
Fluctuating.
track
Okay.
between that.
But something around the 56-ish mark.
Yeah.
Okay. So on average, how would we do this? I believe what they're doing is taking multiple measurements in a space and averaging. I think they do. Again, this is light science. It's a whole science of its own. There are really interesting things going on in light science about how lighting troffers, the fixtures are set up, how they reflect light, how they drive light down here where you want it, versus being a visually annoying kind of a thing or splashing light in other places. Okay, if we turn off our lights in here and we open our shade and move the board away from the window, if we were relying on daylighting in this room, can I ask you to move that chair behind us so we can actually move that? I'm gonna just go that way. Okay. So what's,
That changed yours much?
okay, if we turn them all off, let's try an all off. What kind of numbers, and you guys may have to move away from the light, you not shadow your gizmo, your light meter.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh.
About 4.5 here.
So have I got recommended light levels if I have the lights off in this room at this time? Is it 50?
No.
No. Okay, would you be comfortable reading on that if you really had to do some fine print reading?
No, not really.
I would not be. If you're just doing story time with your kids and you want them to calm down, you might. Is this an unsafe light level? Is this an unsafe light level? Is anybody at risk for tripping and falling because I can't see?
No.
Okay, and we're getting a number under 10, right? Or 5. So recommended in corridors and hallways. Okay, this is a
15 for stairwells.
15 in a washroom, and I've been in many washrooms that are much less than that. 10 in a locker room. They obviously don't want you to see anything there. 15 in a stairwell. Okay, so I'm getting different numbers, but they're quite a bit even more light than this.
But if
Okay.
you're sitting over here, it's at 40.8.
So if my whole room was as light as that, if I had, this is east,
Right.
and I had 2-3 sets of windows, and my room was only this,
Long skinny room, right.
could I do it in this lighting without the light, without it being on? It's possible. Do that. Daylighting in this room, considering the way the lights are set up and what we can turn on and off. What was our reading on the table over here?
40 something.
Okay, so it might be okay most of the day, most of the year, if I had double windows over there so I don't have a dark hole. If my lights are this way or my lights are this way.
Parallel to the window.
Right.
Okay? So how your lighting is set up makes a big difference in how you can utilize that daylighting, because either this light is on or off, and it doesn't matter whether you're here or in the dark. So how was it set up? So one of the things that we'll do is look in one of the rooms in the science building and say, which way do the lights go? This is brand new. Somebody thought this one out. What did they do? See if it works or not. Okay? And I've got a card for each of you to keep you interactive. Because if I took your kids out here, is it now just field day?
You're going away.
Woohoo. You're going to be thinking indoor environmental quality. You're going to be thinking the section that we didn't talk about of, is this a resources and materials question? You're going to be thinking energy and atmosphere. Atmosphere includes comfort, so temperature comfort, thermal comfort. Water efficiency. Water efficiency is the water use indoors and outdoors, not necessarily a site runoff. So that bioswale that we're talking about, I'm already giving you a heads up. That's not in water efficiency, that's in sustainable sites. Okay? So you're thinking your card, and you're going to sing out whenever you say, hey, I think I'm looking at something that might demonstrate that. Okay, so this is just another technique of, you're going out to do something. Do you have kids targeted at looking for something rather than bingy bunging off of everywhere? So from this spot on campus and a couple of other spots, you can see a lot of really interesting things. I see the 1968 or 1970 vintage Goddard Hall, not a new building. Retrofit with a steel roof. Used to be flat roof. I see the Wickware Planetarium behind me. It's still got its flat roof. The old library that's now our student services building is the building back behind it. It used to have a flat roof and still does behind the pretty little parapets. Across the way I see 1990 or so vintage Webb Hall. I see the new science building beyond that. That's a LEED silver science building. I see the LEED, so you've got LEED rating, LEED silver, LEED gold, LEED platinum. So LEED is your basic. Rated residential village that you see through there. The library, which is circa 1995-ish, I'm guessing. I think it was about that. Used to be the baseball field, so people that come here that were old school Eastern students see many buildings that have changed over time. And you'll see the treatment of buildings. Which spaces have that front chamber in front of the door? Not here, not here. Library does. This newer 1995 building does. The building, your building, was an old building. So Mary Hooker was an old school that was redone. They built in that front, call it airlock, call it chamber, whatever it is. Yours is security and temperature control. And in many schools, you're seeing that as a security space. We'll let you in the door, but we're not letting you past here until you got screened. Maybe we'll make you stand outside before you get screened, so it varies. Okay, let's take a walk. Yep, sure.
So one thing that we didn't talk about materials that much, but keeping water out of buildings is really important, having to durability of buildings. And water always wants to get into buildings. The molecules have cohesion, they all stick together, and adhesion, they stick to what they're on. And so that's what makes it challenging to keep it out of buildings. And if you look at this detail, at this windowsill, and you can see how it comes down and then it like flips out, that's to break the capillary action. So the water would run down the sloping windowsill and come here. You don't want it to like sneak back in and get in the building, and that's why you'll see a lot of different elements of buildings. It comes out like at a 45-degree angle, and that's like a drip edge, so that the water will drip off instead of going back in the building through capillary action.
We talked about massive materials. Set your back against this wall. If you need a nice heat, you can't offer massage, but I could give you the heat. And it's warm. It's really warm. This is the east side. South is down
It's
like to this
31
way.
degrees Celsius.
And it's 31 degrees Celsius as opposed to, why don't you hand out a couple of thermometers and different people can be trying different
And
things.
try the asphalt, try the grass.
Yep. It's a contact thermometer, so that little flat spot is the part that's measuring. So make sure you're on.
I can just hold it up against.
Yep, yep.
We were noticing that, the south side wall versus.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty.
29 degrees, 25 degrees Celsius.
So the dirt, just the plain dirt here is 30.
So we've got 29 or so on the white concrete, 30. Not a big difference on the grass. This is kind of, looks like concrete grass. We've got more dirt there than grass. So
9.3 on the ground.
29.3. What are our differences in the sides of the building that we got?
Over 2 degrees.
Over 2 degrees. So 2 degrees Celsius, so we're talking, what, 3.5 or 4 degrees Fahrenheit for those who think in Fahrenheit. Okay, could your kids, just with a couple of these thermometers, raise a bunch of testable questions? Very much so. Very much so.
Well, it's shadier here. I don't know about like the sun exposure to this area.
on a regular
Shadier
day,
works.
but Shadier works.
Have I got more cooling kind of grass in this area? Possibly a little bit.
It's
Yep.
windier.
I got a little breeze coming through here.
You could feel a difference.
Yep. What are our hard surfaces here?
You got brick and cement.
And what are our temperatures on some of those surfaces?
27.
27-ish, and what are you getting down there?
Still going up.
28 and climbing.
But it's interesting that it's there, at the moment, there wasn't that big of a discrepancy between the rock here
Yep.
and the blacktop, which you would thought.
Yeah, they're relatively close in temperature, but you could also do a measurement of, just because it's black doesn't mean it looks blacker to me or lighter to me, doesn't mean that its
It's
reflectance is the same. It's often, it tracks that way, that white reflects more, black absorbs more, but it's not always so. Is green or red or a deep blue more absorptive? And you can measure that, and they've done that. You can look at numbers on steel roof products and find out that reflectance number, and it's like, wow, who knew? I could get a green one that's actually cooler than the red one or the something else.
Yeah, like on residential asphalt shingles, they put granules that are reflective, so you can have any kind of color almost.
And still get the reflectance. Yep.
Except
And are we still climbing?
33.
33 and climbing. Okay, we'll take it that it's hot. From this point, besides being hot and warm and sunny over this side, west side of buildings, what do you think the heat gain is in these windows? Are they warmer than the other side of the building right now? Quite possibly. Smart buildings have systems that work to balance that. Dumb buildings that many of us live in don't balance that or don't do it terribly successfully. From here, I'm looking at these things. What are these things? Bike racks. Are we overrun with bikes? Are we ever overrun with bikes? What do you think?
Maybe during the school.
Actually, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. But one of the lead features of encouraging behaviors is if I give them bike racks, then somebody hopefully will bring a bike. If I didn't give them bike racks, then they're never going to bring a bike. So you have those things put in there, and sometimes it's features that, why did they put it here? Nobody's using it. There might be some rationale behind it. What we're looking at over here is a fuel cell, and it's a UTC product. How does it make energy? What do you think its fuel is? Anybody?
Water?
You think it's water?
Or is it the natural gas one?
This is a natural gas. So it's breaking up natural gas, okay, which is a carbon and hydrogen composite, natural gas. And it's pulling the hydrogen out of that, which leaves what as a byproduct? Basic chemistry coming back here. I used up my H's. So if I had carbon and hydrogen and I've got carbon left, it also makes water because it's using oxygen, the air. So you get water as a byproduct and you get CO2, so carbon dioxide. You are getting a carbon byproduct from this. So is it a straight up, absolutely clean, best of the best renewable fuel? No, it's not. Is it better than some? Yes, it is. Okay, so this, a fuel cell, we've got a schematic on the side of it that shows how a fuel cell works. You can walk around this. It's very much intended to be a teaching tool. It was placed there for a darn good reason. Besides the fact that we do sustainable energy studies, that's housed in this building. You know, so it's part of the view. Putting skins, that advertising kind of stuff on the sides of the box, as opposed to, it looks like a dumpster. It kind of does look like a dumpster. but did we use it as a teaching tool? Did we take that opportunity, or is it just another dumpster back behind the building that's noisy?
So this would be a room where we'd see energy and atmosphere.
Woo! Yes, comfort,
Okay.
cool stuff. Good job. Keep up the good work. And you got one too?
I have one, the mats, so you've got the mats to keep dust and pollen and stuff like that from coming in, you've got extra ones here too.
Is it just dust and pollen? What do you think?
And
Probably
dirt,
it's a salt.
salt,
is
yeah,
the-
anything you pick
Water?
up,
Stuff here.
water too, yeah.
Okay. And can they open these in some way and get the gook out of them? I hope so,
I think
right?
so, because it looks like those are
Yeah.
raised.
I've never seen them open, but
No idea.
there must be some sort of a key someplace to get it off.
Because it's, yeah.
Hey, what's this thing
There's
called?
rock underneath, it looks like.
Same thing these guys are called. Walk off, Matt. Isn't that high tech? Okay, do you have those in front of your doors? Okay, your janitors probably make sure that you've got something. Is it built into the floor like this one is, or is it an add-on and ends up doing that in front of your door, the buckle up and become a hazard?
Our airlocks have them, or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have, like built-in
Yep.
carpeting and
Yep. Okay, so very cool. So what is this thing doing for us? What's its job? We know what it's doing, but how does it help us?
Air quality.
Air quality in what way? Gee, I can't smell this. Why? Why is it air
Well,
quality?
because you're
Particulates.
minimizing the particulates in the air that
Right.
we ingest or inhale. And also, the dust in
Right.
the cleaning.
So if I
So
cut down on the
cleaning also.
cleaning, I don't have to do as much whatever that is
So
that
air
does that,
quality and cleaning,
right? Slick, safety,
that was the other.
okay. Mold builder, because I don't have water coming into my building and then evaporating. I'm evaporating it out here. Not a problem. Come on through. Not a problem.
So I'm wondering about that.
Oh, what's that?
A condensation issue, if you ask me, from if that thing cools and it's a humid day, I bet that thing drips. I bet
And not enough
condensation
to-
happens and that drips and makes a mess.
Anybody else have another solution
Although,
for that one?
take a look at
Tread.
the tiling there too, I don't know if that's
Don't know.
Same thing.
Hard to tell.
damage or.
It
What
might
other
just be
solution
tread.
could we have? What?
You could pull the mat a little further over this way, or
Okay.
extend this.
Terry,
Yes.
go out the door once these people, well, we're gonna watch these people. Come on, you're our experiment. Watch where they walk. Watch where they walk.
It's walk.
I'm asking, watch where they walk. You're doing a good job, ladies.
That's exactly it. It's traffic pattern.
Did anybody walk over here? No, 95% of the people are gonna go the shortest route.
Look at the-
I'd guess more on where. There may be some moisture thing here too.
I don't know.
What do you think?
It doesn't look like moisture to me.
Really?
Yeah, I'd go for where.
Right, so
Okay.
I've got energy.
Ooh, energy and atmosphere talks to us again.
And
Okay.
also Daylight and view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I've got different materials that were being used here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that might be under my materials, especially if my wood here was a locally harvested wood, that's possible.
Or certified as from a sustainable
Yep.
source.
Yep. Where did my furnishings come from? Because when they're building a building, the furnishings are sort of included in those calculations. And in this case, they were. Carpeting. I am certain that this was a recycled product carpet. And it's squares of carpet as opposed to I have to roll out a whole new carpet. So Joe Blow comes through and dumps his, I don't know, highly red energy drink. That stain doesn't come out of anything kind of thing. Right there.
Just replace
Okay,
those
this,
two.
right.
Two.
So I didn't have to kill the whole carpet or live with the stain forever. You know, so can we design in a way that makes sense? I've got lovely little spaces. I've got energy available to me that I can, you know, go out. Just the looks. Which ways can you look and see daylight?
Both ways.
Okay, and do you feel like you're in a cave so much when you can see out at least someplace? It's a tunnel maybe,
A
but not a
small cave.
cave.
Really good.
Okay, looking up at lighting, what do you notice about the lighting along this hallway?
you have two sources, you've got the direct center ones, and then you have the side pieces that are,
Oh,
it's a more
okay.
diffused lighting
Uh-huh.
piece.
Is every lighting fixture on?
No,
Okay, is the one next to the day lighting on?
no,
Do you think that was designed in here to have that opportunity?
or does it have a meter to measure?
I'm
I
not
don't
sure,
know.
I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if you hit that light switch, hit it quick for us, go ahead, be brave.
That probably
Not
was
not the alarm, but the light switch. Okay,
Oh.
that turns everybody
that
else
turns
on,
everything on.
and that turns on,
Okay.
okay? So in this case, I've got the option to physically hit that. Okay, cool?
These two I didn't notice.
I
So-
see.
Yep.
The water efficiency.
Ooh, we've got water efficiency going on. And how do you notice that as water efficiency?
Well, it's a water feature.
Yep.
I mean, water access. And so it doesn't come on just when you walk by it.
Okay,
It's not a sensor. To turn it on, you have to push, you have to actually push. And even if you just bumped into it, you wouldn't
oh,
accidentally.
those like the
put-
old fashioned
you
ones,
know,
yeah.
turn it on and waste water that way. And I'm sure there's a accessible issue as well as a convenience issue for the higher one and the lower one. But it probably also reduces the waste of the water if it's at a height that's reasonable for the user.
Okay, that's cool. I'm sure that's an ADA thing as opposed to the Disabilities, Americans with
Yeah.
Disabilities Act, as opposed to and is the cooler on all the time, we just noticed?
No,
But what triggered it to go on, do you think?
probably because you use the water.
Okay, so it's not cooling all the time. As
That's
opposed
like
to
a
maybe
reserve or
that
something.
god awful one in your hallway might be on all the time. I don't know what that chiller is on.
The one across from my room?
Whatever, I'm just
happens
saying
all
in
the
general, whatever. Somebody's got one of those that's on all the time, so you got lots of possibilities. We're taking a run.
Now, Laurel, I'm surprised, like in my office, we have the water fountains.
Yep.
That tell you that you could refill your water bottle on. Was there a
Mhm.
reason behind why they inserted the more old-fashioned water fountains versus ones that would help us, because people.
Okay, I would say that because this building was being built in 2003,
Mhm.
and it was still in architectural plans when I was here in school, so the department I was in, the earth science department, I remember being in a room doing another project when the staff had the plans out and were saying, ooh, this door here, yep, I like that space there. So they were physically planning well after plans were in place. We knew what the big building was looking like. We were still dickering about walls here and doors there kind of thing. Or being told what our walls and doors were going to be. I don't know what level of choice they had in that one. But that was in 2000. Were water bottle fillers when this
I don't
design
know.
was going in? Did you see them at that time?
But see, my
We're talking
building that I'm in.
14
yeah,
years ago now.
But my building is like
Right.
older than the hills. It was
Right.
the original cult
Yep.
building, and it has those water.
Could we
features in there.
retrofit with that?
Right,
Yeah, we
that's
can,
what
and they're
I meant.
considering that.
Okay.
There's a lot of computers on, even though nobody's in there.
Oh, monitors. Well, the shades are all drawn too.
I mean, the lights are out, there's, track lighting, or not track lighting, but they're perpendicular to the windows, but I'm wondering if you could turn them on, like just the front.
We'll
Right.
go into a regular classroom and see what happens. I have taught in this classroom. It's a pretty comfortable classroom to teach in if you put people in these two sections and not let them sit over here, and then you really took them off, by the way. But I had a smaller class, but I forced them all over to this side because I really didn't want the back of the room effect. So as tables are set up, have I got a lot of options on how I could use this space? I'm not trapped into any one thing. I've got multiple whiteboards, all kinds of stuff. My lighting options are this: off, with a west face. Front on here. The rest of it on. That's my options. And I've done films in this, shown films in this room. Last September I was in this room for a class that I was teaching and we were doing films. You can close it down to get dark enough to show a film. So I do have some options. I do have some lighting regimes. Is it the best of everything? No. You know, could I teach in this room in the light level it is now? It's probably, at least I'm guessing, a 40-foot candle-ish kind of thing. Might be a little bit more.
Well, and
Have I got bright spaces? Yeah. So could we, let's be cooler and turn the light off here? Or we could do something
and
like
just
that.
the color choices
Yep.
too.
Yep.
So,
Yep, but it doesn't look like a box because it's got this wavy thing. It probably helps with the acoustics too. I don't know for sure, but it probably has a help on the acoustics. So what choices do you get and how could you do it? And could we have set the lighting in the opposite way and give me another lighting choice? We could have. But what's the cost of doing that is a good question. So let's do a run out the entryway. You could go out that door. From here, I've got view, 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 view. Okay, I don't feel in a cave. It's a really interesting space. I've got a lot of light splash off of the flooring. This is that terrazzo flooring that we talked about that ends in this section here. Wears like iron, will never lose its color.
It's basically concrete, but instead of gravel aggregate, it's marble chips.
oh,
So,
Typically, like that's true for true terrazzo. This
Yep.
may be epoxy, which is a thinner layer.
okay, I've seen some of this done to like terrazzo countertops that have glass, recycled glass in it. Makes it really cool looking, or metal chips in some things. We're going to look over here quick and then we're going to look out there. When we were talking about part of this, this was that stone that I talked about. If you look close at it, if you got these dark spots, that's garnets. So this thing is full of garnets, which is the state mineral of Connecticut. Okay. We could talk earth science and talk about why garnets happen, but we're not going to go there. It was harvested less than 500 miles away. It's New England garnet. Who's got a card that talks about why we would do terrazzo flooring that takes very little care and locally harvested stone and woods? Is it an energy and atmosphere?
well, to a certain degree, right? Because you think about the building costs, bringing things in, the
okay.
carbon footprint kind
Okay,
of thing.
I'll buy that one.
So that's my angle on that thought.
Okay.
With a floor with minimal care, that's less, chemicals or cleaning products that are being dispersed
Indoor
throughout the
environmental
building.
quality, yep. Who else has a card
Materials.
that has, we have a
Materials
sustainable
and
sites is more the site that this is on, and we'll talk about that when we're done. But the materials and resources is where you're gonna get the credit for this under LEED. Not that it doesn't have
those.
implications,
Okay.
but it has some credit there. Let's take a quick look out here. Enjoy the cool space that you'd already been in but weren't admiring before. And this is the New England woods that you see. Just wicked cool looks, cool feel, neat materials, usable space for a lot of different things. Looks cool. Our last look is going to be outside in the bioswale. See where we can get to that. Okay, so again, from here, my personal favorite view of the whole campus is here, looking up, looking down the bioswale. Water comes at this site. This is the lowest place on campus. first collecting pool is that one over there. It also, I think, catches some runoff from the building that's piped into that one. When that is overfilled, it comes to this point. When this is overfilled, it cascades down into the next, and the next, and the next, so that runoff isn't quickly leaving the campus and going down to the Willimantic River and taking with it as much dirt and debris and salt and car sludge and whatever else along the way. It also gives you a nice place to grow some algae and some non-native koi that magically ended up here.
Oh, you guys didn't put them in?
I don't know where they came from. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't designed to be that way. The LEED certified residential village here, you've got Laurel, Nutmeg, and Constitution are the three buildings. Our library here. The least efficient building that we've got on campus, the temporary that's still there. You may have one of those on your campus too. Okay, so you've got the good, the bad, the ugly, the really gorgeous, but don't look that way kind of thing. Every place has one of those. Every place has something like that. Anybody see something here that's on your cards?
Well, I have the water feature.
Okay, so your water efficiency, or you?
This is water efficiency, indoors or outdoors is what it says.
Okay,
So the fact that it's not just being wasted, it's
Okay.
watering the vegetation that's
Okay.
in the feature area.
if we talk about it as an irrigation piece, then we could buy that one.
Yeah.
Under LEED, it's going to be looking at it under a different category. Which category? We're talking sustainable sites. Okay, so it's how we use the outside site and how we treated the outside site that comes under that one. So yeah, LEED has a lot of things that cross over back and forth. You can make an argument one way or the other. Where it's counted under that system doesn't matter to anybody except somebody that's fighting for points. How your building became LEED or LEED Silver or LEED Gold or LEED Platinum, it had more and more and more of these little things built into it to get to the higher levels. Some of them are mandatory. Some of them are just the easy low-hanging fruit, and some of them are harder to come by. But all of them add up to a much more sustainable building than something that was just slapped up to meet code. And it makes for some really cool buildings too. Questions, thoughts, anything? While we've got the camera still running.
I just have a question in terms of the water piece here. Is there anything that prevents it from being stagnant? Because when I look at it now, there's like so much algae and things like
Yep.
that, and to me then that you start, there's smells and things of that nature. So is there anything that does any kind of aerating or?
There's no aeration in this. It does not have a fountain. I think it relies on normal regular flushing with rainfall.
But
I would
given
only
drought
see
periods-
stinking, yeah, if you didn't have rain for a while, and then all those rocks started to get
Yeah,
exposed.
you end up, I've seen most of these rocks showing in this one.
And then I say to myself,
I've
you know,
seen-
the koi in here, you know, what impact
Yep.
does that have on?
Yep. They better be pretty hardy.
You can regulate their population a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
There's like, they're breeding in here, you can see the little babies.
Yep. Okay, so one of the questions is, why do we do this? Can you do these things at your school? Probably not. But how do you look at what you've got at your school? Can you go back there and look with different eyes? And say we do this or we don't do this or we've got an opportunity. Some of them have no cost, some of them have little cost. The other thing that I would ask is, do we do a good job here of telling people the story of what we do? And I would argue that we probably don't. There are a lot of features that I pointed out that, was there signage that said, look up, look down, this is what you see? Should it have, if it's really doing the best job it could as a resource?
Yeah.
Yeah, it could.
Needs to.
Okay, can you do those things at your school on the features that you do have? Can your kids be the ones that are doing that? And I say very much yes.
It should be the kids.
Yep,
It's their
they take ownership in it, right? Okay, well, I thank you very much. Welcome to Eastern, welcome to the Green Eastern. Welcome to your green school too.